Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday live stream. And to answer your question, Bitcoin, Sol, SWI, Hyper. That's what I'm buying right now. And this is the whole prospect of the video today. So let's just jump right into it. So first things first, I put out there like what I'm buying and why I'm buying it. It's not so much about the what, it's really about the why. And the what is very simple. I can tell you what I'm buying, and I think it's more important to understand why I'm actually buying this. So I actually put this out this morning, as a matter of fact, and this come through. Now, as you may know, I have been using Coinbase for quite some time. And after the hack and everything that's been going on with it, I just did not feel comfortable with it whatsoever. And I just felt to myself, this is probably a good time to switch over. And I switched over to Kraken, and let me tell you, it's been a breeze so far. The reason why I gave up Kraken in the first place, because it wouldn't connect to my bank and couldn't dollar cost average. Now they've gotten away with that, and they've said, oh, we're going to use Plaid, which I used in the past. And it's actually very easy to sign up. Also, they have some pretty good things as far as like if you want to get into stocks and ETFs, they actually have that over there. But this isn't a video about Kraken. It's just, this is what I'm buying. So again, Bitcoin is the lion's share. It's the lion's share of my entire portfolio. It's somewhere between 75 and 80, I think even gaining ground, maybe 85% now. But Solana and SWI, and we'll get to why that is, and Hyper. So with these ones, it really comes down to the whole point of, well, why even get into these? Why not just go into Bitcoin and be done with it? Because the guy with the least amount of worries at the end of the day usually is the winner, right? Well, that's true, but I still kind of think in this sense that there are some massive upsides to some of these altcoins. Unfortunately, it won't be all of them, not like 2021, but I think there's going to be some really good things down the pipe. So let's just break into about why. So first of all, I still have a belief in the digital asset space. Obviously, this was actually from Nick over at Coin Bureau. He talks about crypto market cap as percent of global liquidity is rising. And the gray right there is the global central bank liquidity. Now, this isn't just the US Fed, the Treasury. It's also the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, Bank of England, and others. And you can just see as we take a look at this liquidity, in 2021, 2022, we were really going crazy. And of course, there was this thing in 2020, it was called the coronavirus. I don't know if you remember, it was a big thing. Now nobody really talks about it. Anyhow, during that time, we had a massive amount of money printing, and we topped off late 2022 going into 2023. And as you can see, as things have gone down, so did in blue, the crypto market cap. But as you can see, as the liquidity has dropped, the amount of investment into the crypto market cap has actually gone up. And that to me is a very, and Nick's really nailed it here, that is a very big bullish push, because usually people would say, well, it's just all liquidity, and that's all what it is to. Well, as liquidity has been decreasing, we've actually seen an increase in the market cap. And one thing to note here, and I think this is even more bullish, the crypto market cap excludes stablecoins. So if we put those in, I mean, yeah, it'll be a little bit of a difference, that is true. But to exclude the stablecoins, I think that's the future. And I think that's why I'm buying what I'm buying. And then to talk about it, to get into more of the why, I think there's a big appetite by the normal investor, the retail, and actually institutions as well. And I think it really comes down to is give me a good product. So if you guys don't remember this, Circle, which is responsible for USDC, just went public last week. Actually, when was this? This is a week ago. Circle's New York Stock Exchange debut marks start of crypto IPO season. Are Kraken, Gemini, and Bullish next? Circle's IPO is a success and the ticker is CRCL. It soared almost 300% and sparked renewed investor interest. Message is clear. Public markets are hungry for crypto native plays with real revenue, real value, and real utility. I can't make it any simpler than that. Circle does stable coins. There are multiple chains on Circle. It is. Actually, I'm telling you this. We just go here. You go to CoinGecko, take a look at USDC. That's what Circle does. And you come out here for the contract address and click on this. These are all the chains. I would probably look at these. Sonic, Unichain, ZK Sync, Polkadot. I don't know what world chains. XRP Ledger, Tron, Near, Hedera, Arbitrum, Optimism, Base. You can't invest in Base. That's the Coinbase's. Algorand, Stellar, Silo, Sui, Avalanche, Polygon, Solana. That's a pretty big list. So the question that you might have is, well, which one really is it? Which one should I really be into? I can give you some suggestions, but just take a look at what I'm buying. And actually, you got to take a look at the TVL, which we're going to look at that in a second. So what's next? The strong speculation surrounds Kraken, a major U.S. exchange. Kraken is reportedly preparing to go public, possibly in 2026. Its last price funding round dates back to 2019. It raised $13.5 million at $4 billion valuation. If I can get into a pre-IPO with Kraken, I definitely will. I cannot believe how I was sleeping on that exchange and using Coinbase and getting ripped off. Anyhow, that takes care of kind of like the why and a little bit of the what. Actually, the what and the why. But this is the real reason behind everything. I did a couple of videos about Tron. And was it listed here? I don't think it was listed here. You bought Solo, Bitcoin, Sui, Hype. Oh, I didn't put Tron in there. For some reason, this didn't come through. Oh, well. But I'm buying Tron actively. And one of the reasons is, it's very simple, is that if you're outside the United States, you don't know this, but everybody in the world uses Tron on the Tether rails. Tron surpassed Ethereum with new $1 billion mint. This was the Coinbase hack video. Definitely recommend you watch that so you can understand just how bad that hack actually was. You know, the hackers have your home address and they have how much crypto you bought. Watch out. Watch that video, links in the description. But it was a video I did like 3 weeks ago where I talked about Tether surpasses 75 billion, tops all stablecoin activities. Now, Tether is number 3 by market cap. Is that right? Let me take a look. Tether is number 3 by market cap. Yep. $155 billion. And roughly 56% of what is being used on Tether is Tron. And it's because all the different countries, pretty much outside the US, they love using Tether. Everybody I've dealt with in Asia, it's all about Tether and Tron, Tether and Tron. It's like, okay, there's a reason why Tron is still in the top 10. And some of my altcoins are in the top 500 for some reason. It's because you actually got to use Tron. So that's one of the reasons why I've got Tron. Now, what about Solana and Sui? The other ones that I had in there. Hyper. Well, first of all, just so you know, I think the altcoins season will hit, just won't hit for everything. But there was a great article talking about the 30 Bitcoin price indicators hint at a 230K bull market peak. This is about CoinGlass data, concludes that Bitcoin investors should hold 100% of their portfolio as Bitcoin price upside still has plenty of room. Now, we actually talked about this 4 days ago. I don't know if William watches my channel, but this was just released 7 hours ago. And we actually talked about this, which is from CoinGlass. It's the 30 indicators. Again, link in the description. You can watch that video with what we're talking about, these 30 different indicators. And what these indicators say, according to these models, Bitcoin will be 135 to 230K this cycle, which is why I dollar cost average Bitcoin every single day. And it's the majority of what I buy as far as like the percentage of the total dollar amount that I put in every single day. And it talks about, in particular, we highlighted 3 indicators: Pi cycle top, market value to realized value, and long-term relative strength index, to demonstrate that the Bitcoin bull market still has plenty of room to run. What they're referring to is this, which if you watch the video on the super indicators, the link's in there, it's on CoinGlass. And it's just these 30 indicators, all of them are really saying is it a hit or not? Like Pi cycle top, no. 12 multiple, no. MVRVZ score, no. And the 3 indicators that he was talking about, which was Pi cycle top, market value, realized value, and long-term relative strength index. This was actually pretty interesting. So over here for the long-term RSI, the only one I found was the RSI 22-day. I'm not for sure if that's a long-term RSI. I would think it would be a little bit longer than 22 days. I know the standard really is 14 days. Correct me in the comment section. But I would like to see more like that are spaced out in months. And I couldn't even find the indicator here because it wasn't listed. I guess that's in the pro account. I don't know. So I took a look over at Ben's website, RSI, and you can break it down by daily, weekly, and monthly on a different time frame. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm like, oh, if I just would have followed this a little bit longer, I would have been able to like pick some tops a little bit better. As we see here, April 2021, then maybe around December. And actually, it's looking not too bad right now, 105,000. But if we get above these levels, that's great. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the three indicators that they talked about, Pi cycle top, MVRVZ score, and the relative strength index long-term, what I like about Ben's site, and this is a question that I got, was, well, does he just give us the indicators or is it like a description? Yeah, Ben gives you the description of what like the MVRVZ score is, the standard deviation, pulls out the extremes with the Z-score, good tool to identify where market value moves highly above or below realized value. And he always does a video about it, like how to actually use it. So I'm telling you, like right now is an accumulation time for me, obviously. But I think as time moves on, you're going to want to really start to understand like are we near the top? Do I want to sell these altcoins? Or do I want to do another round trip service? That's up to you to decide. I can't tell you that. I'm not a financial advisor. But it would be good for you to actually take a look at these indicators. And good places, of course, here. Watch those videos I talked about. And you can kind of make an informed decision. But again, why am I buying these alts? It comes down to Cardano. I know this is good. This doesn't make sense right now, but it will. Hold on. That's Charles Hoskinson. I think we all know him. Cardano's Charles Hoskins suggests swapping $100 million worth of ADA for Bitcoin and stablecoins. Why is he talking about stablecoins now? And why was everybody talking about stablecoins at the Bitcoin conference that I went to in Las Vegas? It's because it's the future. People need payments. And people are like, I don't understand that. I can use my dollars. I can use my Visa credit card. I can use my Cash App or whatever. But you understand, if you think like me, in the terms of an American, you're missing out on the total global economy. A lot of people can't do that. Stablecoins bring that to them. Everybody's got a smartphone. I mean, essentially. Anyhow, this is what it comes down to. Stables. So Charles said this and he got attacked. He dismissed concerns of a market impact, saying the token does not have an issue with liquidity, talking about Cardano. He hit back at critics that claimed 100 million sale because they want to sell Cardano out of their treasury and they want to buy Bitcoin, which I thought was a pretty great idea. How great would that be? And also, they're going to be essentially a layer 2 solution for the Bitcoin operating system in their own and in their own right as a layer 2 solution for Bitcoin, which that's great. We can use that as a settlement layer. Anyhow, claimed a $100 million sale would impact the price of ADA, calling them inexperienced before adding that the sale would not cause any problems at all. I didn't know they had that much liquidity. $100 million and no problems. Sounds good. Total value locked on Cardano stands at $356 million with just $30 million worth of stable coins minted on chain. Let me say that again. This is important. Total value locked, or TVL, on Cardano, $356 million, $31 million worth of stable coins. Remember those two numbers. In a tweet, Hoskinson said that the stablecoin situation is killing Cardano, considering the fact that Solana has 9.8 billion and 11 billion worth of stablecoins minted on chain. Hoskinson's comments were at odds with those of the Cardano Foundation CEO, Frederick Gagard, that TVL is not a metric used for adoption. He should. Let's take a look at what they're talking about. TVL over at DeFi Llama. DeFiLlama.com. I didn't put a link in the description, sorry, but you can find it. DeFiLlama.com. What I'm looking at is under DeFi overview. The TVL locked in decentralized finance is 110 billion. What were those numbers again for Cardano? That's right. 356 million. And there is 110 billion locked. Let's break this down. Ethereum itself is the lion's share, which astounds me why people aren't using Ethereum as much as I think they should. Again, I get the whole argument. Ethereum is now just a settlement layer. Everything's going to be done on layer 2 solutions. You have the Arbitrum, the Polygons, and everything else. Hyperliquid, okay, sure. On layer 1s as well. But Ethereum has 61 billion. And then we can see it's actually broken down by the protocols. I did not know that Lido had 22 billion and Aave had $21 billion locked up into it, just on DeFi. How about Solana? Again, 8.26 billion. And it's on Jito and Jupiter and Camino, the decentralized exchange. This is Radium as well. Tron, 4.7 billion. That's pretty good. Base is Base, Arbitrum, Hyperliquid, layer 1. SWI, 1.73 billion. I can get behind that. Polygon, 1.00 billion. And then where is Cardano as far as TVL? You have to go to the others and pick this out. And there's Cardano, 292 million. So even though I hold a lot of Cardano, I think it'll do well. As far as like TVL, it's looking pretty bad for them. And then, let's see if I can do this. Over here on stablecoins, you can also take a look at all the stablecoins that are out there. $251 billion stablecoins locked up. That's the market cap. And where is this? It's on Tether. It's on USD. And you can break those down by Ethereum is 125 billion. That's roughly half. Tron has only 79 billion. However, if you look at Tether, the market cap there is 78 billion. That's why I bought Tron. And as far as like Solana, you got 11 billion. That's why I buy Solana. And as far as like Hyperliquid, that's why I bought Hyperliquid. Now, Arbitrum, Polygon, Avalanche, Aptos, I have some. SWI, still trying to accumulate 1 billion. Ton, kind of a laggard. Got some, have a little Stellar, so on and so forth. And that's why I'm actively buying those. And I think it's going to be a stable coin. And that's what it really is. And that's what it comes down to. So as far as like, and Farhad nailed it. What coins is Rob shilling today? Good one. So Rob is shilling SWI, Sol, Bitcoin, and Hyperliquid and Tron right now. Now, last week it was a different story. I bought a little XRP, bought a little Cardano, bought some other things. But for this week, this is what I'm going with. And I will be accumulating all the way through until we see a big blow off top. Now, again, Bitcoin is still 75, 80% of my portfolio. And it's still the majority of what I buy every single day. But I still think there's a little bit in the background, and these will do well. This is the time to buy when nobody wants to buy. Are they going to go down? Probably. Am I dumping everything into them? No, I am not. I don't care if they all make it. I just need a couple to make it, and that'll be that. And then lastly, before we get into the little Q&A, I just want to remind everybody, don't trust banks. Don't trust exchanges as well. This is from a guy over at Coin Bureau. Looks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, and TD Bank report breaches compromising customer data, including names, social security numbers, and account numbers. So good luck, everybody, as all your information is out there on the dark web, as you get massive amounts of scam calls and try to get screwed over from your crypto. That's it for today. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about it's time sensitive. Now we'll get into a little Q&A, answer all your questions, and we will go from there. Farrar says, SWI will be the token for the next cycle, I think. It's either going to be SWI or it's going to be Hyperliquid, or it's going to be something that nobody knows about. Same thing happened last time. And who knows? It could be HBAR. It could be XRP. It could be, those are like the older ones. It could be this one that, gosh, what is it called? If you go to ChainSpect, there's a new one called KETA, Keeta, which supposedly did 11 million transactions per second. I don't think that's right. Who knows? I'm just here reporting some crazy on-chain analysis that really I don't think anybody can really prove. Let me see. What I'm talking about is there's this website called ChainSpect, CHIIN Spect, SPECT .app. So the max theoretical TPS is 10 million. Max TPS on 100 blocks, I guess, was 11,122,000. KETA is ranked in the top 150. It's a layer 1. And if you hover over this, that's what I'm looking for. Finality was 0 seconds, layer 1. Launch date was March 31st, 2025. I could get behind that. Let's see. And then for everybody who wants to like, well, how do I get that? First of all, you shouldn't buy something because some guy who's got a really nice green screen tells you about something. You probably want to do a little research. I would say that maybe that's just a big scam. Who knows? And maybe that 11 million transactions per second was a fluke. And let's see if they can reproduce it. And let's see what it can do when it has actual strain on it, like say like Ethereum or Solana does, or Cardano. Just saying. Just saying. But if you're looking for KETA, you want to find a place and not get, scammed out, go to CoinGecko, find KETA, click on markets, and it'll tell you like, here's all the locations you can get it. Looks like it's mostly decentralized exchanges. And then if you want to see like which one's like a legitimate volume, because some of these have like volume of $13,000. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Hold on, that's not right. $969,000 in volume on a centralized exchange. That's weird. You click on 24-hour volume, you can see like the ones that are probably the most legitimate. Damn it. Uniswap, L-Bank. What the heck is that? I don't know. Volume itself is pretty low. Good question. All right. After Voyager Celsius, it is Coinbase now onto Kraken. If Kraken gets hacked for info or coins, what's next? Somebody asked me this exact same question about that. Also, let me say this. So we have these rules, right? These rules have helped us a little bit. Those rules underneath me, the third rule, 0% exchanges. It means don't leave things on exchanges. That's the big thing. You can use a ledger, you can use a TANGEM. Don't know how to use those? Good news, I got a free website. If there's a link in the description, I show you how to use it. I even give you discounts to buy them. TANGEM is my favorite, but whatever. Anyhow, I think it was Antonopoulos that said, treat an exchange like a roadside gas station bathroom. They are filthy and disgusting. You go in, you go out, you spend as little time as you possibly can in there and do your business and GTFO. That's essentially what you're doing with centralized exchanges. You're getting in, you're buying what you need, and you're taking it out as fast as possible. So for the question, which is a good question, where did it go? Here it is. Chucker said, after Voyager Celsius, it's Coinbase down to Kraken. If Kraken gets hacked for info or coins, what's next? If they get hacked for the coins, then of course you don't have it on there. But the bigger question is, what if they get hacked or scammed, just like what happened with Coinbase? Because with Coinbase, there was some bad actors in the customer service departments globally that gave up willfully customer information to other bad actors, and that's why they have your information. So if that happens to Kraken, then I'll have to move on to another one. But I truly expect no exchange to be perfect. I just like Kraken right now because it's super easy and smooth and everything I like about maybe a little ETF and stocks. So, and Jesse Powell's on there. It's a pretty good one. Anyhow, good question. Let's see. Cardano only outperforms Bitcoin on transactions per second. That's well, what is the this is a good way to look at this. The people will say, you know, hey, you know, Cardano is very slow and it's only got whatever it is, 26 transactions per second. But people will direct you to this website, eutxo.org. Oh my God. This was not a great example. This block is empty. How about we do this? Oh, Cardano, you're not making me look good. We're just going to have to wait here till something good happens. Oh my God, it's even worse. A new block's arrived. What is this? This is all that's going on? Intra-wallet transaction. Man, this is pretty sad. This is really sad. Let's see. This almost makes me want to cry. Okay, maybe something bigger is happening. Let's see. All right. That's the next transaction. So in each transaction, you have blocks of other transaction within it. It's the UTXO model. And you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and some, or maybe this is on one contract. So there's more transaction going on. But I got to tell you, this is not a good example. Very sad. If you hate Cardano, this was actually pretty fun for you. Sorry. Hey, I just give the information that's out there. That was just a really bad example. Let's see. I like transactions. I make them all the time. Me too. Get at me, bro. Send it down. I will buy it later. Yeah, go play Doom on Cardano. Yeah, that was a nice little touch that they had it on the last conference in Vegas. Rob, does Kraken have staking, or was it expensive to move your coins from Coinbase to Kraken? No. Well, first of all, BM. Let's take a look at this. Let me pull this up. So I don't, God, Dave Ramsey gives the worst advice. We'll get to that in a second. So when I do this, I don't move my crypto from one exchange to the other. That's a recipe for disaster. What I do is I do dollar cost averaging essentially every day. And every 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week if I'm lazy, I move it all into cold storage, into Ledger and TANGEM. I highly recommend everybody do the same exact thing. I need you guys to not leave on an exchange. So as far as like staking, like I don't use exchanges for staking because then they have my crypto. Why would I do that? I use the Ledger device or I use TANGEM. And especially for Tron, they allow staking, and as well as Solana. And there's a couple other ones as well. Ledger has more options if you want to do it that way. But no, I just move it off into the cold storage. Now, if you're like, well, how does that work? You know, what type of device should I use? I will just say like this. There's a link in the description of all the videos that I do. First of all, watch these videos. Coinbase, Hackintron, Ytron, the super indicator. That was what we talked about today. Crypto critical videos. But if you're wondering about like Okay. I'll just do this. If you're wondering, like, how do I use a cold storage device like TANGEM, here's the deep dive video. Here's how to do the staking. Here's how to swap. TANGEM. If you're interested in Kraken and signing up, you get $50. You're welcome. Also, I get $50, which I think would be great. So don't think I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. I do use it all the time, but yeah, that's what's happening. But yeah, there in TANGEM, understand those would go a long way. But no, I don't move from one exchange to another. I keep them off that. All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to Ergos upgraded 2-second block time. Oh, nice. When is alt season? Nobody knows. I just was watching Ben's video, as a matter of fact. He was saying, hey, this is great. We're at, what is it, 0.32, 0.31. He says, I think we're going to go lower. I was like, oof, that's actually good. Rob, seriously, that is garbage. Hey, that's what the website showed. I have ADA, but not loving it. I still say that it could do pretty well. It looks like they're cozying up to Bitcoin. They want to be a layer 2 for that. I'll take it. Yeah, I wish the world would just get along. Waiting at the station since 2020 with my bags packed. Jason, you know you should have sold in 2021, or at least taken some profits. So don't listen to people who tell you to diamond hands. And trust me, bro, they are morons. Take some profits. Did anybody ever go broke taking profits? Just a question. Has there been any updates to NFTs on TANGEM? No, and on NFTs, I couldn't care less about those. I know some people will say, you know, it's the next big thing. I don't care. Some people love them though. Happy Saturday. Romanian Pitbull says, we should get 75 and you get 25. That's fine with me, but that's not how it works, man. Oh, another thing, for that, I only get up to, apparently this is from the app, I only get up to like $1,000. So I think I've already hit that. So right now, if you sign up, you get 50 and I get nothing. So that's what it is. Like it's like capped out at $1,000. Let's see. You're welcome. Let's see. Rob, my dad took off when I was a baby. I have no dad. Will you adopt me? Not legally, but in the digital sense, I suppose so. I think try to give out some type of reasonable advice, whether that be fatherly or unclely, I don't know. But sorry about that. Some people's dads suck. What can you do? Let's see. When up only season? That's a good question. Bitcoin OS, will Iago's baby pay off? I don't even know if Cardano was actually still working with Bitcoin OS or BOS, the boss. Cat with a K, what's up with all you degens? Cat, you know what it is. We're just here trying to swing our bags around. Ben has humbled me, must agree. Yeah, he's did a good job on the Bitcoin dominance thing. Worked out pretty well. Diamond Hands also works with Tomato Coin. No. Tomato Coin. So what we did was because meme coins were popping. So we said, you know what? You know, Cardano's not really doing a lot of meme coins. Let's put Tomato Coin out. And we actually had done an airdrop to all our stake pool participants because we are a stake pool operator for Cardano. And we just airdropped them this thing called Tomato Coin. Anyhow, we did that. And then we did another airdrop again. And then what everybody do? They dumped it on me. So I still have my 10 million Tomato Coin or whatever it is as the founder. And everybody dumped on me. That was fun. So probably never do that again. Many people, oh, you get nothing. That's cool. That hurts. That hurts down in my soul for you to say stuff like that. I don't know if I'll recover. Isn't Cardano about to airdrop a new coin? Midnight. And that will start in July. And to answer everybody's question, we will be participating in that as a stake pool. So when you stake with Digital Asset News or DNews, you will be getting that airdrop as well. Just need to get the details, which they haven't really put out. I know Lace, the wallet, put out some information, but they're not the sole provider, we will say, of midnight. Yeah, Jason says, yeah, I missed 21. I thought it would go up forever. Yeah, I did the same thing in 2017. I thought it was going to go up forever too. Just waiting for alt season. It's coming, right? It's coming at some point. It's just not going to be all the crappy altcoins that everybody has. I think it's really going to come down to like, which ones do we actually need? Like, again, like I was talking about, like when I was sending Tether to the people in Southeast Asia, it was all Tron. It was all, we'll take Tether, but it has to be on Tron rails. It has to be on Tron rails. I'm like, what the hell is going on? This was like a year ago. And then, you know, other people in the EU, same thing. We use Tether on Tron. I think it's because everybody uses Binance, and Binance, CZ, Justin Sun maybe have some kind of like agreement. I don't know. There's also a lot of trading pairs with Tron. And as an American, of course, we just make fun of Justin Sun. We just think he's a goofy marketer, but he's obviously doing something right because still in the top 10. So yeah, I think stuff like that will do well. I think Solana will do well. I still say Cardano and maybe Sui, and who knows the other ones? Hyperliquid, HBAR. I don't know. Who knows? Hey, Rob, I have a channel. When can we talk about Billy Cat? I did a video on that, as a matter of fact, like 3-4 months ago. If you just search for Digital Asset News Billy, it'll come up. I heard a rumor that Kraken is going to be listing Billy Cat. They haven't done it already. So that's another one. So if you don't know, it's Billy Cat's on Bitcoin. It's the ordinal or whatever on Bitcoin coins. I did a whole video on that one, and you can check that out. So we'll see. I have a reasonable amount. Wow. Glad I sold my fart coin at $1.44. Seen Bitcoin dump. I got feeling so quick. Pretty good idea. If Bitcoin dumps, everything else dumps. Darren says, showed up late. I'll watch replay. Quick overview. Buy Bitcoin and be patient. Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Ooh, tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you guys about dollar cost averaging, just daily, versus dollar cost averaging fear on the fear and greed index and how that compares. Should be a good one. Quit Time says, how do you spend your crypto when there is capital gains tax? This is a difficult one. First of all, you'd like to move to a country which doesn't have capital gains tax. That's the first piece, right? Whether that be Portugal, I think in Germany, you guys, you know, you get to hold it for a year and then you have no capital gains, which is pretty great. America, it doesn't work like that. Puerto Rico, no capital gains tax. That's the first thing. Second thing is you want to do that before you accumulate all these Bitcoin, right? So if you say, I'm picking up and moving to Puerto Rico right now, whatever you accumulated anywhere else, that's going to go to your country, the United States. You got to pay capital gains. But whatever you start to accumulate in Puerto Rico at the point that you become a resident of Puerto Rico, no capital gains tax on those. So as far as like how do you spend your crypto, first of all, everything that you spend, there's going to be capital gains tax, which is why I don't understand why people are like, yeah, Bitcoin for transactions. I'm like, who the hell is using Bitcoin for transactions? You got to pay capital gains tax on that. I mean, I'm in Puerto Rico, but I still don't use it. So they change the rules, I suppose. And it's the same thing with everything, right? The other option is Bitcoin loans, but me and Simon Dixon had a video on that one. Just search for Digital Asset News, Bitcoin loans, Simon Dixon, and we break those down. Again, not the companies that are the problem. It's the companies behind the companies and the power behind those companies that we are concerned about. Also, timing of when you take out a loan as opposed to a bear or a bull market, margin calls and things like that. So as far as like how do you spend, for right now, that's why it's a speculative asset. If they change the rules and say, hey, if you use your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or your fart coin or whatever it is you use, and you're using it for below a certain threshold to pay for things, there's no capital gains tax. If you do that, there's obviously people are going to exploit those loopholes. So I don't know how they're going to do that. So right now, capital gains tax for everything. Will you do a step-by-step tutorial on buying hype? Yeah, it was very easy. Shout out to Meme, not Meme, for drilling this into me. Go to Binance US. I didn't know I could still use that. And buy Hyperliquid, Bitcoin or Binance US, or Binance if you're someplace else outside the US. Did anyone else get wrecked by SBET this week? I don't know what that is. If anybody got wrecked, let me know. Romanian Pitbull, I went to touch grass and stepped in doggy poo. Romanian Pitbull, I feel your negativity. I'd like you to know that it's going to get better. It's just going to take some while. That's all. Rob, did you order a Solana Seeker phone? No, but I think I should. The last phone did pretty well because it came pre-shipped with Dogecoin, or excuse me, Bonk. So who knows what this one's going to be shipping with. And I actually paid for that phone plus some. Bafo, Trump, Rusty Beach. Thanks, Rob. I'm going to miss Dan when you sell. Don't worry. Remember, when we start to go up and we hit these certain indicators, I will sell. I will ladder out, and I will step down from this channel. But you know, I come back in the bear market. Nobody needs anybody in the bull blow off top. If me stepping out from the channel and going, I sold, and you don't sell, then I don't know what to do. I'm a prisoner of my own country, says Krantz. Great if you hold a Genesis wallet. Yeah. I will be borrowing against my Bitcoin on Cardano. That's something I should really look into. See how that works out. People who pay taxes are the real problem. Just saying, no. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's the people that pay taxes, the people that don't pay taxes. I think it's the people that are in charge of spending that tax dollars. I think that's the bigger issue. It's not about like you didn't pay enough or you should pay more, you should pay less. It's really it comes down to is what the hell are you using all our money for? Trillions of dollars. Come on. Rob, do you believe Bitcoin will drop below 100K? Anything's possible. You know, you get a, I don't know, nuclear missile strike on a country. It's game over, right? Everything collapses for a while. Tripto dad. Hey, Rob, love your show. Mentioned a few years. Appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dad. It's nice. Nice to hear. Yeah. Ralph enjoying the sun. Rob, I got a house in Spain. Retired, 65 years old. Got no money left. Too early for tokenization. Yeah. I hear Spain's a great place to retire, though. Last Solana phone was Bonk. Yeah, it was. It was. Wish I would have gotten that one. Is that a real pool or a green screen? Green screen. But that dog is real. All right. Green screen. Let's see. Dog with beanie. Okay, I'll follow your lead, probably hold my Bitcoin. But all the alts will become more Bitcoin. That sounds good. I forgot to pay taxes. Whoops. Don't. I'm telling you, we all want to be libertarians, but the IRS and the Central Tax Authority usually find you. Fans are spinning its live. That's called a dynamic green screen. Very hard to get, very expensive. Hey, Jennifer. We are ruled by psychopaths and not just Trump. Yeah. I'm here for the dog with Rob. Rob, I have 3 Bitcoin and 30 Ethereum. Wow. What's the best way to leave that to my 2 daughters? How old are your daughters? You don't have to tell me, but depends on how old they are. If they're old enough to understand about cold storage, there you go, right? As long as you have it in cold storage. If you're worrying about, okay, I got 2 daughters and I got this trophy wife and I don't want her to get it, then, you know, you got to put that in trust. So for that would be a legal question. But it's as simple as transferring over for just they understand. Now, with an exchange, it's a little bit trickier, right? Because if you pass away, and then say like, the password has to be reset, and they have to go through the whole process, and they have to reset it. And what if they can't reset it? And they're going to have to prove that it's, again, a trust. So unless you have it in cold storage, everything else I would put it through a trust, not just a will. Wills aren't airtight. Put it in a trust. I believe it's real when it barks. She doesn't really bark that much. What's your advice to newbie crypto millennials? Oh, this is a great segue. So the first piece of advice I'd say is don't listen to this guy. This is Dave Ramsey. And I like Dave. I like what he talks about as far as getting out of debt. Really good advice. Like, hey, if you got a credit card with 32% interest, you might want to pay that down first. Or, if you're living outside your means, and maybe you should kind of like, calm down with all the buying. You don't need all that crap. That's great. But then when he talks about stuff like this, if you're 25 and don't end up a millionaire, it's not for lack of a plan. Dave just gave you one. Invest $100 a month for 25 to 65, start at $40,000 a month. No excuse to realize a film strip. I don't know. So this one with like investing $100 a month, he's talking about, I think this would be like treasuries, bonds, stuff like that. Not so much the stocks. I think if you're investing $100 a month and you're not, because for me, like if you're 25 now and you're listening to this, when you're 65, $1 million isn't going to buy you squat. That's the big thing. So when I look at this, I'm like, that's not great advice. I would say like this. Advice to newbie cryptos, millennials is like this. If you can just stick around for 4 years, you'll be in profit. And if you can't, and you need money and you're really tight and you can't afford like the basics like shelter, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, water, if you can't afford food, then you really shouldn't be investing, because if you can't afford that, you got real big problems. You got to figure out, first of all, how to be able to live independently, not have to be living in a poor circumstances. The second thing is that everything you should try to invest into should be some types of assets. It's not about saving money. It's about investing into assets. And if you start to teach them about like where money comes from, just show them the M2 money supply. And just show them like, this is what happens when you print a bunch of money. And just take a look at that. Show them the price of the S&P 500 and just individual stocks. Show them the price of real estate, wherever you're at, how it's gone up over 10, 20, 30 years. And then just explain to them that if you don't get into assets and just keep yourself into money, just into fiat, it's going to be a really bad situation for you, because it is going to keep printing you out of existence. So as far as like with like the crypto newbies, where else are you going to get these types of returns as far as like with Bitcoin? Now, altcoins is anybody's guess. Sure, I suppose so. You can do the 75-25 rule, 80-20 rule if you want to, 80 Bitcoin, 75 Bitcoin. But just tell them to go into all alts or meme coins, I think it'd be a disaster. Okay. Hello. Greetings from Saudi. Awesome. A trust, Krantz, not a will. War is profitable, also good for wielding more power. Done magic for us here in the United States, that's for sure. Let's see. I thought he was a good guy. I thought. Past tense. It looks quite warm in El Paso. Yeah, it's 106 degrees today. It's not too cool. I'm 27. There you go. Well, you got a lot of time. You got a lot of runway. So for me, it would just be dollar cost averaging, putting in what you can, either that daily, weekly, monthly. Juan says, did your life change a lot as a millionaire? No. I still essentially drive the same vehicle. It's a Dodge Grand Caravan. And, well, I did get that in 2018, so that was after the fact. But I still live in the same house. I mean, we moved to Puerto Rico. That was nice. But as far as like, really change things, the only thing it really changes is it's your stress levels. When you're able to like get positive cash flow and things come in, you don't have to worry about, like when I was younger or when I was a kid, we actually lived out of our car for a bit. My mom was a great mom. She just wasn't a financial genius. And there's a lot of stress when you have that and you can't afford things. You can't afford food. You can't. This is why I talk about these things. Everything's just so scarce. And when you have that much stress, it's really tough. So when you start to make money, not just a millionaire, just be able to pay everything and pay the bills, you feel comfortable, it's just your stress level goes down. I think that's the bigger thing. And as you make more money, you start to look at, there's two ways you look at it. When you start to make more money, you start to look at, well, what can I do with this to help the people around me? And then I think that's when things really get interesting. Because it's not just about, well, I'm just going to sip Mai Tais on a beach. That's the most boring life you can possibly have, trust me. What it comes down to is, how do I improve myself and improve those around me? That's, I think, the bigger thing. I'm just going to leave it there. That's a pretty good one. So that's it for today, everybody. So thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. Like today's video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff. Tomorrow we'll have Jerry V. Hall on. I got to get him out of bed, out of Costa Rica. And then we're going to talk about some DCA stuff and what's going on in the moves. That's it for today. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.